Hello, good friends in Sierra Leone. It's a pleasure for me to address you at the beginning of your workshop on the strategic planning of Cordaid. I know that you're working in Sierra Leone, in a country that has gone through difficult times of civil war and violation of human rights. It's good to see that we are now going to make plans for reconstruction, for rebuilding society, and really making progress in our road on the road to development. We hope that this workshop, this meeting of counterparts, consultants, and the staff of Cordaid will be productive in yielding results and designing a common future in our work in Sierra Leone. If you look at the strategic plan of Cordaid for the next couple of years, there are some things that will not change, that will be sort of a continuous part of our strategic planning. First is that we will continue to look at development as fundamentally as a process of changing power relations in society, and that we will continue to approach the question of development from the perspective that poverty is the result of marginalization and exclusion, which also means that working on development, fighting poverty, is in the essence a process of emancipation to break through the patterns of marginalization and exclusion, and that in that process of emancipation the poor themselves will take the lead. That's also the reason why Cordaid will continue to work with counterparts based in their own society, rooted in their own communities, knowing what's happened in their own surroundings. We believe that cooperation is vital to make sure that we are working with people themselves and that we are building upon the strengths and the capacities that there are in society available. And I think that development in the essence is to develop that, to give people the opportunity to contribute and to make use of their capacities, their knowledge, their experience in order to bring that capacities to the table of development. Of course, there are things changing, mainly in the surroundings that we are working in, and I see three important changes coming up in the next couple of years. The first is that most of the biggest problems that we are facing in the development work are increasingly of a global nature. There are not only problems of one country or one part of the world, they have got a real global nature, a global face. When we look at the climate change issue, when we look at the scarcity of energy, when we look at the food crisis, when we look at migration, these are all problems that are affecting North and South, and of course southern countries are much more heavily affected by the consequences of these crises. But in fact, there's a shared problem, there's a shared responsibility to solve these problems. So I believe that most of the discourse of development will be also a discourse on a global level. And that brings us together, and that creates a new surrounding, a new framework of thinking, where also the traditional divide between donor countries, donor organization, and recipient countries and recipient organization will be changed. The second is that I strongly believe that we have to change the language of our discourse. I'm more and more convinced that the language of poverty, where we are talking about poor countries, is putting us in the wrong corner. There are no poor countries. Countries like Sierra Leone, countries like Sudan, like the DRC, they are rich countries, rich in natural resources, rich in human capital and social capital, rich in cultural and spiritual traditions and strengths. That richness we should not overlook by talking about poor countries as if they are dependent, as if they are not capable of doing anything, just to receive. And the main challenge for development work is to make sure that people can benefit from the richness of their own countries and that they can contribute the richness of their tradition and their capacity to the development of their own countries. That is what the main challenge is for the next couple of years. And perhaps the last important things that will change is the way that we are investing in knowledge and research. By globalization, by realizing that most of the problems have a global nature, we also have to realize that solving these problems, attacking the root causes of exclusion and marginalization is becoming more and more complex and requires even more fundamental and deeper analysis and knowledge. Cordaid will invest the next couple of years more of its time, its energy, its financial resources, its staff capacities in that field of knowledge and research. Not on a scientific level, we are practitioners and we will remain practitioners, but our practices should be better founded, better built on the knowledge and the analysis that we are making. In that process, I see an important role also for our counterparts. By linking up the knowledge of our partners, knowledge institutes in the South, and the knowledge that Cordaid has, and the network that Cordaid has, I think we really can make steps further in our work and in the underpinning of what we are doing. That is what we are meaning when we are talking about global communities of change. Communities on a global level that are reflecting the global nature of our problems, but that are also reflecting our global capacities that we have in the network of Cordaid. With more than 1,000 partners in 30 countries, we have a vast network of organizations that have experiences, that have knowledge, that have strategies that can contribute to each other, and where we can build a stronger practice and a better founded knowledge on what we are doing. That's what we want to develop in the next couple of years. And I'm sure that also from Sierra Leone, with your experience in the last couple of years in rebuilding your country, in rebuilding your society, you have a lot to contribute. And we would like to work with that, to continue working with partner organizations in Sierra Leone, and we are also convinced that in linking up what you are doing in Sierra Leone with other fragile countries, failed state countries, that we can really enhance and strengthen our global networks on working on fragility and on conflict transformation. I wish you, all of you, a good conference, an inspiring conference, a conference that is strengthening the ties between all of you and the ties between Cordaid and its partners. Thank you very much.